You're listening to the Stage and Screen Show with me, Andy Snowden, here each and every Saturday lunchtime until 3 p.m. And as I've been saying today, on Tuesday of this week, we held a massive 24-hour fundraiser here at Calon FM in aid of the NHS. And we had all sorts of guests from the world of show business and, of course, the NHS frontline workers and volunteers from across the country as well. But now I am going to turn my attention to one of the country's leading actors. His name is Mark Lewis Jones. He hails from Rhosllannerchrugog, I think I've said that right, up here in North Wales. And he began his acting career as a teenager at the Clwyd Youth Theatre before going on to train at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama down in Cardiff. Perhaps one could say he's probably the most ideal guest to have on the Stage and Screen Show because his CV across the board of the world of show business is quite remarkable. The list of TV credits is absolutely phenomenal. Most notably, I suppose, he starred in Stella, The Crown, and most recently The Accident, where he played Ewan Bevan, the husband of Sarah Lancashire. I caught up with Mark early last week and had a lovely chat with him. Here he is, Mr. Mark Lewis Jones, on the Stage and Screen Show. Well, it's lovely to have you on the show because, I've been trying to get you on my show for God knows how long now.
We will do that, I promise. We will do that when lockdown is over, and it'd be nice to come up and see you properly in the studio.
Yeah, I look forward to that. But I mean, as you were saying, I mean, you're a local lad, really, aren't you? You grew up in Rhos.
Yeah.
And now you live down in South Wales. Are you a bit of a homeboy? Do you like returning to your hometown?
I always have, Andy. Ever since I left when I was just 19, and I came to college in Cardiff after youth theatre, and I was in Cardiff for 3 years then in college, in drama school, and then I went to London for 27 years, and I've recently returned to Cardiff. Well, the last 5 years I've turned to Cardiff. But over the years, I've always been going back. All my family live in the village. They all live in Rhos.
Yeah.
And I've got close friends that have remained close friends from school. People like in school since I was 3.
And we've known each other since, well, back in the youth theatre days, really.
Yes.
Back in the early 80s. And I can always remember sort of admiring you as an actor, and it's funny sometimes, when you see people and you think they'll make it as an actor, those people, and when they do, it's always lovely when you see people that do well, but it wasn't really that much of a surprise to me.
Oh, bless you, that's very kind. But you never know really, and I've come to know now, having been acting for a few years, that the statistics are that most people don't stay as actors. They go on to other things, which is fine as well, isn't it? But it was always from those first days in school first, and then in youth theatre. It was always I was not wanting to do anything else, and I suppose that's key, really.
Yeah.
If you have no desire to do anything else at all, then it helps that you just stick at it somehow.
Yeah. You almost have to, in a way. But then you went down to the Welsh College in Cardiff, and that's. It seems to me nowadays that a lot of people seem to be bypassing the whole drama school thing. And going straight into working as actors. Do you think drama school's still as important as it always was? I
think it is, personally, and I think it is for development as well as for learning certain things and being experienced. Because if you go straight from school and you've had very little experience straight into a television or you've got very little experience of how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've spent 3 years with people, like-minded people. And Cardiff, for instance, now is one of the top drama schools. It's a fantastic place to learn, because you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
The thing, of course, nobody can ever teach you is the ability to act, isn't it? But they can certainly help you with a raw talent.
Yeah.
They can help hone that technique and give you camera. I went there recently, funnily enough, and I hadn't been back for many years. And I went there to do a Q&A.
Right.
With the intention of doing more stuff this year, but of course that's all been put on hold now. I was going to do a couple of days camera work with the second-year students. But anyway, we did do a Q&A for a couple of hours. And that was nice, you know, and being amongst that kind of energy of really enthusiastic people who really want to do something in the arts, whether it be acting or directing or stage management, just being around them for 3 years, I think, is really helpful in terms of development, you know. So I'm a big fan of good drama schools, you know, and I think they still have their place, and I think it helps you as a person that you then go into work when you're in your early 20s, you know, having had a bit of life experience, you know, living away from home and things. I mean, some people do go straight into the acting world and they make a huge success of it, you know, and and that's fine, you know. But on the whole, I think it's a good thing.
But I remember when I was in drama school, and I don't know what it was like at the Welsh College, but
where did you go?
At Guildhall.
Oh right, oh gosh, you went to one of the posh ones.
I was, the posh ones, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, with the
you
master.
You and Stephen Parry went to.
Yes, with Stephen Parry and Rhys Ifans just left.
Went to Guildhall, yeah.
Yeah.
I was wonderful. The Guildhall has a fantastic reputation. I'm sure it still does, you know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But what I was going to say was there was no TV training as such. I don't know what it was like at the Welsh College.
I did question that when I was there, funny enough, Andy, because I didn't have hardly any. I think we had a little bit in the third year, and it was a tiny little studio at the top of the building, you know. And but I did question that. I said, you know, what's the situation now with doing some camera work, you know, was my intention really, to go back and do a couple of days with that, you know, just having met them, then go back and do 2 days work and do little scenes and just perhaps, you know, help them a bit with camera work. And they definitely do more than they used to, you know, because the truth of the matter is now, when I came out of drama school in 1986, more often than not, you went straight into theatre.
Yeah.
You know, that was the natural trajectory, the natural course would be straight into a theatre company, you know. And more and more now, young people go straight into TV.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there should be as much emphasis as possible on camera work, because there's a lot to learn about being on a set or on location, and the who's who, and, you know, all the simple things like hitting your mark and the camera and where the camera is and not crossing the line and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all worth finding out about before you get out on a set, because you've got enough to worry about if it's your first job, you know.
Absolutely.
But yes, well, apparently they do more now. I don't know what it's like at Guildhall and RADA and that lot, Lambda. I've got a feeling that Lambda do quite a bit of it, because I've got a friend who works with them. I think he does a lot of TV work with them.
Yeah.
I would imagine they do a lot more now, Andy.
Well, I was talking to Ruby Snape a few weeks ago. Do you remember Ruby Snape? She was another youth theatre girl, and she was saying her first TV job. She'd done so much theatre stuff that her first TV job, the director said, "Listen, you know, it's very nice, but the person you're talking to isn't on the other side of Wembley Stadium. You know, rein it in a bit." And I think that's the whole thing, isn't it? I think you can tell the people who have just had a theatre, not just theatre training, but theatre experience. They get on TV, and it's a lot bigger and larger than life.
Gosh, you can't believe when my first job ever, and my first scene was with Anthony Hopkins on TV now, and I've been doing nothing but theatre up to that point.
Yeah.
So whenever I joined the youth theatre in '81, and this was now, for 7 years, I did nothing but theatre, you know. And I did a scene with Anthony Hopkins in a BBC One for a drama called Heartland.
It's brilliant.
And
yeah.
I did a scene with him. I couldn't believe how quiet he was and how still he was and how little he did, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, right. I thought, right. And then when you watch that scene back, you realise he's done, you know, a lot more than you've seen physically, but the camera picked it all up, you know. And you know, now we have these radio mics in every scene. You don't have, you know, there's no need for any projection, you know.
Yeah.
It is a totally different technique, of course, you know.
But I was thinking about that Heartland earlier, actually. It was one of those dramas. I watched it when I was training. It was like about 30 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. 32 years ago. It was 1988 we filmed. Oh, so it would have been on just over 30 years.
Yeah. And you gave birth to a cow?
Yeah, a calf, yeah. Well, that was the first scene.
Yeah.
Because they said to us, right at the start of the filming shoot, the schedule, they said, listen, we've got this calf being born in the schedule, but of course it's going to move.
Yeah. Because
the calf is ready to be born, we'll drop tools into the shed and we'll film it, because we want a live birth.
Yeah.
Well, I arrived set on the very first day and they said, get dressed, the calf's about to be born.
My God.
And so the first scene we did was pulling that calf out, and the vet, we had a vet on standby, obviously, to tell us how to do it. And he said, whatever you do, don't stop halfway, otherwise the calf will be crushed. And I thought, God alive.
My Lord.
I got Anthony Hopkins over there. I'm pulling a calf out of a cow, and if I stop halfway, the calf's going to die. No pressure then.
Oh, fantastic. And wasn't your girlfriend a very young Jane Horrocks, I seem to remember?
Jane Horrocks, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, that was it.
Martin Glyn Murray was the brother. He was in Youth Theatre as well.
Yeah, but brilliant cast, actually. It was amazing, that
It
drama.
was lovely, and Glenn Houston was in it, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Being Anthony Hopkins' dad, yeah. It was a really lovely shoot, and it was shot down in West Wales, and Kevin Billington directed it, and it was lovely. And about milk quotas, very very timely pre-COVID-19, when we were all talking about the EU and everything. It was all about that,
Yeah. But I was looking through your CV, as I say earlier, and I mean, there's so much to talk about, but what I've done is I've kind of cherry picked the things I wanted to ask you about, and Heartland was at the top of the list, actually. But let me ask you about the accident with Sarah Lancashire, because was that the most recent thing that's been on TV?
I think it wasn't it? Gangs of London is coming out any minute, but I think the last hour, The Crown or the accident were about the same time, weren't they? And I loved doing the accident. I had this kind of. I try not to put people on pedestals, but if anyone was on a pedestal, it really was Sarah Lancashire. I thought she was. I just think she's amazing. And again, she's like Hopkins in the way she does so little. And it's lovely to watch, and it draws you in. And I thought Happy Valley was a sublime performance. I thought the whole thing was amazing, but. You've worked with so many of the greats now. I mean, do you still get starstruck? I mean, there must be a bit of it. Hit it off. Me and Sarah hit it off in the read-through.
Yeah.
So it was, and we had huge scenes to do. There were big scenes, but it was like when you just hit it off with somebody and you totally trust them.
Yeah.
And my goodness, she gives as good as she gets. And she's always there, always on it, even when she's not on camera. And she's absolute delight to work with, So it was a really special job, that one, for me, because I've always admired her greatly from afar, and to be in the room with her doing those scenes was a real. I couldn't believe it. Really, it was wonderful.
Yeah. But some of those scenes that you're talking about, I mean, they were so raw and so. They must have been so difficult to play, because I mean, I'm so brilliant as well, because I said, when I told my daughter that I was going to, when you were going to come into the studio a few weeks ago, and I said that you were coming in, and she was like, "Ooh, what?" And I was going, "Hang on, he's not like that in real life." But I
think a few people had a shock. I think they thought.
Yeah, it was really. It shocked me, because I thought, but to play that as an actor, is that a difficult thing to do?
Well, it depends. I think it depends who you're with, and being with Sarah and the director, who was equally wonderful. It just made it all. I can't say it was easy, but it was. You felt safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was one of those situations where you feel safe. You feel like you're in capable and safe hands.
Yeah.
So as long as I'd done my bloody homework and got myself prepared for it, then I'm ready to go, really.
It was a brilliantly eerie performance that you gave in that, because I just thought you didn't know where it was going to go next. One minute he was being lovely, and the next minute it just turned on a halfpenny, didn't it? And it was.
Yeah, well, that's Jack Thorne's writing, isn't it? You know, he's absolutely. He just writes that sort of human element, you know, where you can be lovely one minute and be an absolute pig the next, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a gift, really.
Christian Patterson was in it as well. He's a friend of.
He's lovely, isn't he?
Friend of the Stage and Screen Show. I think he's been on my radio show more times than anybody else.
But he's good value as well.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
Yeah.
But he's been on as an actor, as a writer, and I was going to say as a designer, but I don't think he's done that yet. But no. I'm sure he's got it up his sleeve. Yeah, lovely guy, Christian.
He is indeed, yeah. He was lovely in it, actually, because he said, I'm not doing very much in this, but it really came out beautifully, didn't it, what he was doing, you know.
Yeah, and every now and again, you must go up for jobs and just think to yourself, if I get this job, my whole persona, my professional persona, my public persona is just going to change instantly. And it can't be a truer thing than Stella. Mm-hmm. When you got cast in Stella, you must have just thought, well, this is it now. Everyone's going to know who I am.
Yeah, well, it was strange, wasn't it, Stella? Because, of course, I didn't come into it until quite late on, you know, because Rob Morgan doesn't return until, I think it was like the 6th episode of 10, the first series or something, you know. So it had kind of all been quite established by the time I came back. But, of course, they talked about him a lot.
Yeah.
They talked about this, and there's nothing better than that. You know, I remember Anthony Hopkins being interviewed about playing Hannibal Lecter, and he said to the interview that it was easy. He said, it was easy. He said, what do you mean it was easy? He said, well, everybody has told the audience what a monster I am for the first half hour of the film.
Yeah. All
I have to do is appear, you know.
Yeah.
And they already know I'm a monster.
Yes.
Well, you know, similarly, in a different way, obviously, but, you know, that Rob Morgan was talked about a lot. So then when you appear, there's a kind of, you know, there's a really nice kind of entrance into the series then, you know, and it was such fun to do. We had an absolute ball doing it, you know, some great old mates in it as well, you know, Owen and Steve Spears and people, and then I met some wonderful Craig Gallivan. I was doing an interview with him the other day, you know, for a blog thing, and it was a wonderful series that really took hold, and people really loved it, and they still do, you know.
Yeah.
People stopping me, and you know, we were with it for I think, well, it must have been 7 or 8 years or something, you know.
So how does it work? Do you film it for like 3 or 4 months and then leave it for a year and then go back? Is that how it is?
Mainly it. But I was kind of in and out a bit. I kept going back to Canada, you know, and then dying, of course. Yeah. And then coming back to life as a ghost. And so I kept, you know, so it was nice. So that was really nice, you know, that I was with it all the way through, but I was in and out, you know, like kind of. I think they did around 60 episodes, and I did around 25 or something, you know. So they did about half, more or less. You know.
But I mean, talking of Ruth Jones, who is amazing. I love everything that she does. But your Child's Christmas is in Wales.
Yeah,
that for me is. I interviewed Mark Watson last year, the comedian Mark Watson, and he wrote it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that he wrote it until about 5 minutes before I interviewed him, and I was just looking on his like Wikipedia page or something, and I saw that he'd written that, and I almost had a bit of a fangirly moment, because it's not just one of my favourite dramas, it's one of my favourite Christmas things, and we watch it every year.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant
My dad
drama.
loves it.
It's a wonderful thing, and it's so.
That you know, because to me the 80s are so, you know, they're such a huge part of my memory. You know, when I first started acting, and we went to the youth theatre and drama school and all that, and I can remember my parents' living room just like that, and all the Christmas games and everything. You know, it was. But you're right, because Ruth was in it. The assumption was easy to make that Ruth wrote that.
Yes, I know. Well, I did think that she'd written it.
Yeah.
But
it could easily have come out of Ruth's mind that as well, you know. But it was lovely to do. It was really lovely to do.
But the bizarre thing about it was, and I think the whole sort of Max Boyce sort of thing just running through the whole 3 years.
No, it was all in the 80s, wasn't it?
All in the 80s, I meant to say,
like 83, 85, 88 or something like that.
Right.
It was, yeah.
But and it's now become part of my my Christmas routine.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because the whole thing's about Christmas routines, which is But again, Steve Spears is in that as well, isn't he?
Steve Spears is in.
Yeah. And I keep forgetting his name. Dennis Pennis. What's his name?
Paul Kay.
Paul Kay. Yeah. Superb.
Just been working with him again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Pennis. I was trying to explain to my son, who was 16. Because I recently did the thing called Third Day, right?
Yeah.
And Paul's in that, and so I've been spending some time with him again.
Right.
And I was explaining to him who Paul was, and I said, in transcripts in Wales, and blah blah blah. And I've done a couple of things with him now. And I said, "Do you remember Dennis Pennis?" He goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." So I showed him some Dennis Pennis, of course, and I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
God, he had some fun doing that, didn't he?
I know.
He really did, and you can see them, you can see when they realise about halfway through, right, I've been done,
Yeah. But once he'd become known for it, then people were like giving him the wide berth. But initially it was just, as you say, to have the guts to do what he did was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But very, very clever. Are you all right watching yourself on TV? Are you okay doing that? I know a lot of people aren't.
Some I do and some I don't. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah.
Some I just don't watch. And others I'm semi okay with it. I think. You know what it's like when you listen to your own voice on a recording. It's like, it sounds weird. Well, imagine, you see yourself at the same time, and as you're getting older and fatter, you think, oh my.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know exactly what you mean. But I was going to ask you because, like, for argument's sake, in the accidents, in your performances, as I say, it's quite shocking and raw at the times. And you've got kids now, albeit all grown up. Do you have to kind of say to them, you'll watch it if you want, but I'm really horrible in this?
Well, I think they've just got used to it now. I've seen a number of characters screwing a thing into a bloke's head and things, and I think they've kind of got used to it, I think.
Yeah. And you've just mentioned it there. Before I'll let you go in a minute, but the third day, it's just been announced that it's being released in, the end of the year, is it?
Yeah, they've put it back now, haven't they?
Because of this great lockdown.
I've seen a long trailer for it, and it looks extraordinary.
Yeah.
It really does. It looks amazing. It was shot on OC Island, which nobody's heard of.
No, I was going to say, where's that?
Yeah, well, it's off Essex.
Oh, right, I thought you were going to say the middle of the ocean.
No. Spelled OSEA.
Right.
And there's like a 3-mile causeway to it.
Right.
So when the tide's in, it's totally, you can't get on it. I mean, when the tide goes out, there's this causeway.
Wow.
And the island has got all these houses on that people used to live in many years ago. And they're all kind of, wood fencing and things. It's a strange place.
Yeah.
And people use it now. They hire the whole island for a weekend and things, corporate things and whatnot. But it's perfect for this strange tale of these islanders that Jude Law's character comes on to the island to search for his son and comes across these people who live on the island and have a strange religion, and it's sort of like benignly cultish,
Yeah.
So it's not in your face cult.
Right.
You suddenly start to see weird things. You think that's strange.
Yeah.
And I play one of the islanders who's properly, unhinged.
Right, yeah. Perfect.
more unhinged people, I'm afraid, Andy.
Oh, fantastic. Mark, it's been an absolute treat to speak to you, mate. Thanks ever so much for that.
You're doing a fantastic job there, so good luck with it all.
Cheers, buddy. You take care, and
see you in person when we're allowed out.
Look forward to it. Yes, when we're allowed out, indeed.
Take care of yourself.
Yes, and you, mate. Take care.
Ta-da.
Cheers.